Hello everyone, I'm Travis Markwood with the Lancaster-Fairfield County Chamber of Commerce, and I'd like to thank you all for joining us today for the 2019-2020 Fairfield Leadership Virtual Project Presentations and Program Completion Recognitions. Like many things this year, it was not a normal program year for us. We were able to complete the bulk of our training, but unfortunately had to put the program on hold starting in March before we could take our annual economic development tours and present our final projects due to the current pandemic. While we would all like to be here in person today for this event, I am happy that we are able to put some bookends on our program year and provide the presentations and recognitions for this year's virtual program. Before we get to our presentations, I'd like to take a moment to thank each of our member organizations that sponsored a participant in this year's program. We very much appreciate it and truly believe that your support is helping to create future leaders for our community. I also want to take a moment to thank Cheryl Barber, the Chamber's Membership Services Director, for all of her hard work and dedication to managing the details and communication for Fairfield leadership. She does a wonderful job and we very much appreciate her efforts. I'd also like to take a moment to thank our guest speakers that took the time to present some of our different leadership training topics this year, including Janet Cooper from Fairfield Medical Center, who presented the Strength Finders program, Matt Weidman from Fairfield Federal, who presented Crucial Conversations, David Uhl from Fairfield DD, who presented The Question Behind the Question, and Ron Collins from Ohio University Lancaster, who presented the Best Practices in Public Speaking. We'd also like to take time to thank our volunteer facilitators for helping with the program this year, David Uhl and Ron Collins. They've been helping with the program for many years, and we certainly appreciate their assistance and guidance for our participants. Finally, I'd like to take a moment to thank those who participated in Fairfield Leadership this year and taking time to be with us each month for a half a day from your work responsibilities. We know that's a big commitment. This was a fantastic group of enthusiastic and engaged individuals that the Chamber was very proud to work with throughout this past year. The Chamber believes that volunteering and giving back to the community is a very important part of being a community leader. Therefore, each year we invite nonprofit organizations to apply to the leadership program to get assistance from our leadership teams on projects and initiatives that support their organization. We build small work groups of 4 to 5 individuals from our leadership participants and assign them to a nonprofit to work together on a project for that organization starting in November and typically ending in April. Let's take a look at some of the great work that the 2019-2020 Fairfield Leadership participants provided to some of our local nonprofits.
Good afternoon. As the first team to present to you today, we'd like to take a quick moment to give special consideration to those who have gone above and beyond to make this program successful. To the Lancaster Chamber of Commerce, our nonprofits, and each of the motivational guest speakers we had over the past year, I applaud you for your time and effort. I believe I can speak for every participant when I say that this journey has offered more than we could have ever expected. We commit ourselves to programs like these for a number of reasons, the primary being to fine-tune our leadership skills. But for us, joining Fairfield Leadership was also about being challenged. Coming into this, we wanted to be pushed and encouraged to step outside of our comfort zones. And as expected, we were not disappointed.
Before we jump into our slide presentation, I'd like to share something with you about the day we were introduced to our 6 nonprofits. During our 5-minute break in between hearing about these organizations and finding out which we would be assigned to, I had a conversation with another participant. This person asked me, of all the nonprofits, which would be your first choice and which would you be most nervous to work with? I thought about this for a moment and I said, I really think I would enjoy working with Freedom's Never Free simply because I come from a strong military family. On the flip side, I would be really nervous partnering with Buckeye Lake Region Corporation because honestly, I have no idea what they do. So when Cheryl stood at the front of the room and announced my name, I thought to myself, well played, universe, well played. After talking with another program participant, I realized there were few in the room who knew any more than I did. And after our first meeting with Mike, it became obvious that understanding the BLRC's identity and purpose is one of the biggest struggles they face. This realization allowed us to quickly identify what our capstone project would be.
While talking through the many needs of the BLRC, Mike shared with us that he has a great deal of support from local businesses in the Buckeye Lake region. However, he struggles with gaining some momentum with local residents. And as we all know, the support of the local residents is important. So after a great deal of discussion, we determined some fresh new marketing strategies were imperative. Our objectives were clear: reach local residents on a new level, help them to better understand the BLRC mission, educate them on the projects at hand, and encourage them to become part of the solutions through volunteerism and sponsorship. To accomplish these objectives, we began working on a rebranding package for Mike and the BLRC. Our goal was not to reinvent who they were or are, rather to help them develop a fresh new image that will appeal to their community. Today, we are handing Mike a customized basket of tools that he can pull from for both now and throughout the year. We hope that these tools will help the BLRC reach their communities on a deeper level and encourage Buckeye Lake residents to support their mission and vision. We started the process of deciding what tools to put in the basket. We considered the importance of encouraging users to do 3 specific things: visit the BLRC website to better understand their mission, follow the BLRC on Facebook so they could stay up to date on current projects, needs, news, and events, and to get involved by making monetary donations or supporting or volunteering time to propel ongoing and future projects underway at the BLRC.
First and foremost, we know the BLRC has great information on many areas of the lake. But we thought to truly engage the community, we first need more information about the residents and business owners in the region. We propose conducting a short, simple community survey through the BLRC website and Facebook channels. This will not only provide a platform to better understand the audience, but also identify creative assets and measure brand awareness for all future initiatives. This survey can be completed affordably through SurveyMonkey or another online survey platform.
We crafted a community elevator speech designed as a quick go-to script for communications with community members and people who may not be familiar with the BLRC. The Buckeye Lake Region Corporation was founded to address the community's resolute vision to invest in and sustain Buckeye Lake as a cherished, economically enduring neighborhood and welcoming destination for visitors. The Buckeye Lake community seeks to explore the greatest depths of potential for current and future generations through strategic development, funding expansion, and execution of the initiatives outlined by the lake's most valuable advocates, its community members. BLRC operates to serve these ideals through coordinating, managing, and executing the goals outlined in the Buckeye Lake 2036 vision and the Buckeye Lake Region Declaration. We believe in the vision outlined by BLR 2036 to cultivate Buckeye Lake into the most popular year-round destination in the Midwest. Next, we worked on a simple community relations initiative to help with an ongoing, well-known problem and concern from residents, the overpopulation of geese in the area and their waste, which causes issues for the home and business owners. Mike let us know that green laser lights are an eco-friendly, safe deterrent for the geese, causing them to retreat and fly in a different direction. So we suggest a great community relations initiative would be for the BLRC to purchase a set amount of these green lasers, which we found for as little as $5.50 each. And they could use them as giveaway items, whether that be at the BLRC offices, at future events, or just other initiatives. When we first met with Mike, and BLRC, we thought he did an excellent job of communicating important updates to the local business community through his newsletter, The Lake Effect. While the information was compelling and thorough, we thought it might be helpful to simplify some of the content into a community or visitor-focused newsletter. So we designed a refreshed visual template that could be used to drop in abbreviated content to share with community on a monthly or quarterly basis. The biggest differences for this newsletter would be an emphasis on visuals, such as photos submitted to the BLRC through Facebook or the website, and just simplified high-level key points about ongoing projects. While the current newsletter is an in-depth look at these projects, we felt another simplified version of it could serve as a surface-level communication for key points with local residents and visitors. Another great piece from the BLRC is their interactive Facebook page. While there's already great work being done to inform the public on key updates, we thought the page could also serve for some community engagement-focused posts and initiatives. So some suggestions that we put together, both ideas and templates for, are weekly lake updates, where we could feature one win each week for the lake. Encouraging people to share happy photos of themselves on Buckeye Lake, which can then be featured on the Facebook page and in the e-newsletter. Fun, simple, holiday-themed graphics, which we have included in our toolkit for the BLRC. And other things like did you know questions, historical facts and photos, local business updates, ongoing initiatives, events, and more. While there are many great ideas laid out in the PowerPoint, the overall goal is to increase engagement on the page, increase the following, and get the community more involved with awareness of the BLRC and its mission. An additional initiative that we worked on is a website scavenger hunt. We think this is a great way to continue to accomplish that goal of increasing website visitors, awareness of the BLRC's work, and getting people engaged with the brand. So the website scavenger hunt is pretty simple. It would just involve providing a list of questions for readers to answer by actively navigating the BLRC's website. And we would choose questions that would help readers learn more about the BLRC's mission, such as those outlined in the PowerPoint here. And then there could be a simple prize drawing for one or a handful of lucky participants who complete the scavenger hunt and correctly answer all of the questions.
To ensure that we addressed all of Mike's current needs, the last piece to our puzzle here is geared toward fundraiser event planning. Right before the pandemic closures, our group met at the Cherry Valley Hotel in Newark to take a tour and gather information about their brand new Ohio Event Center. We discussed options for hosting an event that would be attractive to the general public, with the goal in mind to increase both community support and awareness of current projects. Our idea was to plan a Winterfest Gala to coincide with the current Winterfest activities that take place each year throughout Buckeye Lake. Our idea was to plan an event that would attract a number of people, including both his business and his residents' followers. This Winterfest Gala would coincide with the Winterfest activities that already take place each year throughout Buckeye Lake. We have provided Mike with some costs to consider, entertainment options for the event, and specific information about the use of amenities by this potential venue. We gave him a couple of ideas. We talked about these things during a meeting. Obviously, given the current and foreseeable need to social distance, we understand it may be some time before Mike can entertain the idea of hosting an event like this, but perhaps Sunday, when it is safe to shake hands again, this will be an idea worth revisiting. Circling back to our very first meeting with Mike, we identified 3 main objectives at that time: to engage followers and help them better understand the BLRC's mission, to inform the community about current projects, news, and events, and to encourage both residents and businesses in the Buckeye Lake region to offer monetary and volunteer support to area improvements. We are confident that the marketing package we're giving Mike today will help the BLRC meet each of these goals, not just in the present time, but as part of an ongoing effort to retain and attract community support for this great nonprofit organization. Most of us who joined this program have already served or are currently serving other nonprofits, or like in Travis's case, many. For anyone who has had the courage and self-discipline to commit their time to these organizations, we all know how heavy the weight can be sometimes. With that said, we would like to personally thank both Mike and Travis for taking time out of their busy schedules to work with us. This is an amazing group of women. In completing this year-long project, we gained valuable experience, but by doing it together, we gained valuable friendships. Thank you.
I am Stacy Smith, and I am a participant of Fairfield Leadership Program, as well as my fellow teammates, Darren Drum, Chloe Shoemaker, and Courtney Van Dyke. We were lucky that in September 2019, Freedom's Never Free submitted a community project application for Fairfield Leadership Program to be a possible nonprofit leadership project. Freedom's Never Free needed assistance in developing a marketing strategy and help with public awareness. Freedom's Never Free, I don't know if you've ever been to Lancaster, Ohio, and past the fairgrounds in the first week of November. If you've seen the flags and some memorials there and wondered what it is, or if you've been to Freedom's Never Free, it is an appreciation celebration for veterans, military, and to honor our first responders. This celebration is held annually the first week of November, running from Wednesday to Saturday. The event is free to the public and is open 24 hours a day, the entirety of the event. After meeting and discussing the needs of Freedom's Never Free with the founder and president, Jeannie Ignash, our group has decided to develop marketing strategy to help promote the event within the community. Strategies of the plan will include 3 priorities: improved website and logo design, improved community exposure, and also increased donation. Beginning in March 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic began to impact the economy, employment, and community events through the end of 2020. With the governor's stay-at-home order in April, all events planned for the summer of 2020 were canceled. So it also delayed our presentation and conclusion of the 2019 Fairfield Leadership Academy. After discussing among our group members, we decided to make the plan for 2021 and through 2023, instead of beginning the plan of 2022. Freedom Never Free has already established a website. However, the site itself is difficult to navigate, doesn't have a ton of information about the activities in the annual event and the marketing of the event of local businesses and organizations. And by increasing promotional materials to the group, it will draw in more volunteers and patrons of the event. Next, I would like to hand it off to Courtney Van Dyke.
As Stacy said, Freedom's Never Free has had some difficulty with community exposure and their website design. So the first priority is improved website and logo design, with the rationale being that people in the community will be able to better navigate the website and there will be greater recognition within the community. To do that, we've established several strategies that they can do to move towards better website design. The first is to submit grant applications for marketing and website funding. The second is to, as a group, we would recommend reaching out to Martin Barker Design to consult and train on the use of Squarespace, or to even use his services to update the website and to maintain it. Once that is completed and the website is updated, then launch the website. Then we would recommend to reach out to Martin Barker Design or Cryle Communications to discuss updating their logo options. We would also recommend reaching out to OUL for interns to help with website maintenance, and also as to provide an opportunity for their marketing students to submit logo designs within the community to possibly garner interest in the group and to do kind of like a competition. That's all I have for the first priority. I will turn it over to Darren for the second priority.
I will be going over a Freedom's Never Free strategic plan to increase public awareness and improve community exposure. Our team designed this plan after discussing the needs of Freedom's Never Free with Jeannie Ignash and board members. The rationale and motivation behind this plan: more veterans would be recognized for their sacrifice. Our team came up with 15 strategies to help Freedom's Never Free increase public awareness and improve community exposure. The first strategy: update and improve website and brochures. This will make the website easier to navigate and give more clarity to scheduled events. The new website and brochures can be branded with Freedom's Never Free new logo. They may need to reach out to Martin Barker or Crowd Communications for assistance. Our second strategy is a new public marketing display that can be easily set up at community events such as the Fairfield County Stand Down event, the Friday Night Bandstand, and the Lancaster Art Walk. Crowd Communication or Martin Barker may assist in helping them make this display. Another strategy is to obtain a billboard during the Fairfield County Fair. People attending the fair will pass by and be aware of Freedom's Never Free annual event in November. We would also like Freedom's Never Free to obtain space at the Fairfield County Fair. This strategy has already been completed. Our team has contacted the Lancaster Fire Department and spoke with Chief Dave Ward, and he's graciously donated some of their tent space for Freedom's Never Free to set up a small monument and display in their tent. Next, updated flyers and brochures can be branded with Freedom's Never Free new logo. They can be passed out to schools, on veteran appreciation rallies, and on Friday night bandstands. Other strategies include having a presence at the Lancaster Festival, hosting a 5K run, and organizing field school trips to the annual event. We encourage the organization to be consistent with weekly Facebook postings. They may also partner with local agencies such as the Community Action and the Lutheran Social Services to help promote the event to seniors or veterans. Participating in the Fairfield County Stand Down event and the Chamber of Commerce Trade Show are recommended. Lastly, entering press releases to the Eagle Gazette, to the Chamber of Commerce, Fairfield Medical Center, and Ohio Cooperative Living Magazine will be beneficial. I would like now to pass the podium to Chloe Shoemaker to discuss Freedom's Never Free strategic plan to increase donations.
Okay, so another one of the strategies that we were working towards is to increase donations for the annual celebration. So some of the ways that we were going to do that were to send sponsorship request forms to local businesses, submit grants for sponsorship as well as for new monuments and maintenance of the current monuments that they use in their celebration. Another option that we looked into is to host a 5K during the event and to also create a raffle or a silent auction to be held during the annual event as well. By utilizing some of these ideas to increase donations, it will allow the event to expand and provide greater opportunity for community involvement overall. At this point, I'm going to pass it back to Stacy to wrap it up for us.
So in conclusion, we have shared our strategic plan to improve website and logo design, to improve community exposure, and to increase donations for Freedom's Never Free. And we are confident it will create positive results for the future of Freedom's Never Free. We would also like to take this opportunity to thank our sponsors for the opportunity to complete the leadership program, which would be General Dental Care, Jennifer Lape and Carrie Campbell, Community Action, Matt Weidman and Tracy Embry, also Fairfield Federal and President Mary Snyder, the City of Lancaster Mayor Dave Scheffler, as well as Service Safety Director Paul Martin, and Wastewater Superintendent Mike Nixon. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tina, and we have the Keller Market House Online Feasibility Project. The Keller Market House, for those that don't know, was created in 2015 when the Fairfield County Local Food Council created a not-for-profit organization to increase availability of fresh local foods in the community. Since then, the Keller Market House has created a community within our community, bringing over 100 vendors to Lancaster, supplying artisan, unique, and fresh local foods and goods. Our Keller Market House kind of operates on a consignment model, which creates some challenges as basic supply and demand can determine their revenue stream. If the vendors don't have a constant or consistent supply and customers aren't happy, the Keller Market House struggles overall. When we first met with Erin, she described some of these challenges. In addition, they had challenges as quality varied from week to week that the vendors supplied, and availability, as well as vendors going on vacation or taking time off. It all created inconsistent revenue. So our proposal was to research online ordering platforms. We thought that online ordering could solve a lot of their problems in that it would create a consistent, reliable experience for their customers because they had a guarantee to get the goods that they wanted and ordered, as well as a convenient way to pick them up. We also thought it would help the vendors because they had a more reliable way of gauging what supply they should bring to Keller Market House on a weekly basis. And last, it would help the Keller Market House overall because they would have consistent revenue and can kind of gauge their profit margin a little bit better with the online ordering. With that, we didn't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, so we did some surveys to make sure the vendors and customers were on board with the online ordering. The 2 surveys were distributed electronically. The one for vendors was sent out to the vendor list of all of those that partnered with the Keller Market House, and there was over 100 vendors that were emailed the survey. The local community survey went out on Destination Downtown, which is an online website so the public could access it. We also had paper versions that were at the checkout at the Keller Market House so existing customers could give their input, and then there was an email link that could be distributed as well. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Patrick because he's going to go over how we answered these questions with our survey and made sure that this was something feasible for the Keller Market House overall.
So as mentioned, we did do 2 surveys, one for our customers and one for our vendors. We wanted to just answer, is it going to be feasible? Is there going to be interest for an online option if Keller Market House were to go that route? The first question we wanted to ask is, have you just ever shopped at downtown Lancaster in the Keller Market House? And 79% of our respondents have indeed shopped at the Keller Market House at some point. So from there, we just wanted to see, okay, what options have people used in the past to do their grocery shopping? Do they have any experience with online ordering of their grocery items? And then more specifically, would they be willing and able to purchase their locally sourced goods, so goods that would typically be available at the Keller Market House, would they be willing to purchase those online as well? And 65% of our respondents have indeed used some sort of online shopping platform for their groceries. And 61% of them were willing to also do that for their locally sourced goods. And 4% were somewhere in the middle. They just wanted some more information on it, maybe weren't sure what that would look like. So from there, we wanted to dive in a little bit deeper and say, okay, if this were an option, it was something that we could do, would you be willing to pick up your goods from downtown? And 53% of our respondents did indicate that they would be willing to pick up their goods from the Keller Market House. An additional 29% actually were also willing to pick it up, but found that it would be more convenient if they were able to set up a regularly scheduled time that they could pick up those each week. 13% thought that maybe transportation or having home delivery would be a better option, and that could maybe be a barrier. 5% were not interested in that option at all. We then broke down that data a little further and just wanted to see, of the people who have actually shopped at Keller Market House, what is their interest in doing an online option? And 63% of the respondents were actually interested in doing some sort of online ordering and would be happy to do that. 3% were somewhere in the middle, again, just wanting more information. They really weren't sure what that option would look like. So then we get to our vendors. The first and foremost question we wanted to ask our vendors is, are you willing and wanting to expand your profits with the Keller Market House? Not surprisingly, 97% of the people wanted to expand their profits. Everybody likes to make money, so not surprised there. But then the next question was, would you be able and willing to have an increase of your supply if there were to be an increased demand for it? And 89% of our respondees did feel that they would be able to give a bigger supply if there were a demand for it. So then we wanted to know, what is your interest in actually exploring online ordering with the Keller Market House if this is something we really even want to take our time to do? 87% of the respondents did have some sort of interest in actually looking into an online ordering option with the Keller Market House. But on the flip side of that, only 23% were actually willing to pay for that on the front end, and 67% were really have a lot of questions about it and wanted a lot more answers before they were willing to make a decision on that. And then just as kind of like as a breakdown, recap, 97% of our vendors were definitely interested in expanding their profits with Keller Market House, and 87% of them were interested in exploring online ordering, but only 23% of them were actually interested and willing to pay for that on the front end. And to wrap up with our conclusions, I'm going to let Heather take us away.
To kind of conclude what Patrick was saying, with the surveys that we have completed with the Keller Market customers, there definitely was a need for the online ordering systems. After finding this need, it was great to see that the vendors were on board with this as well. The majority of the vendors also felt like they could meet the supply of the production needed to meet those orders. Vendors were a little unsure of wanting to join in and pay for the system or a fee in some way, but overall thought online ordering definitely could increase sales for both the vendors and for the Keller Market House. Now, Blair's going to come talk to you about our research.
So another key component that we did for this project was actually researching different options for the online ordering software. So our three most important components were the price, the user experience, and the integration with Keller Market House's current software. So there were quite a few options, both locally and then national products. So some of these you may have heard of before, some of these are growing. There's a local market here in Columbus that is doing something all around the area. So we broke down each of the different websites and gave Aaron some different options. We also wanted to see overall how easy was it for the vendors to navigate, how easy was it for the customers to navigate, what options did they entail. So all of that went into different research so that we could give the best possible options for Aaron to pick from.
So we had the unique and unexpected opportunity to actually implement what our market research was, give to the market or the Keller Market House for them over the last 6 months. And in a follow-up interview with Erin, she provided feedback that our market research was in fact very helpful for both her and the board to feel comfortable with moving into the next step. And while they didn't select any of the ideas that we actually provided for them, they found one that they were really happy with. So all in all, it works out really well. And if you go to the actual website, you can see that they're implementing it. People are utilizing it, but they have had a few setbacks and complications, which were to be expected, but it was very interesting to know that Aaron had to develop a whole new system of inventory and accounting practices with their accountant. Produce is very hard to anticipate, so the fact that the vendors and coordinating with the vendors and then the customers, so they come up with a unique way of doing that with this specific system. There was a lack of real rollout for the marketing plan because of the pandemic, so they did the best with what they could, but they do have something exciting coming in the fall, but more on that. And then also the fact that several different organizations probably did the exact same thing with their marketing research and for their online platforms, so customers and vendors were probably a little bit overwhelmed just because of the lots of options. But overall, complete success with the onboarding of this. They have heavy users that tend to frequent it weekly. But with this marketing push that they're planning in the off season of the farmers market, this will hopefully target the group that we had discussed during our first interview, which were the people, the customers who they currently didn't have. So hopefully this marketing push reaches out to them and brings them in. But it's to be determined on if all this effort is worth the time of the goal of increased sales and the supply and the demand, but overall online ordering is the way of the future and the cost of doing business these days. So on behalf of our group, I do want to say thank you for the opportunity of presenting for the Keller Market House, and thank you to the Lancaster Fairfield Chamber of Commerce for the opportunity.
Hello, our Fairfield Leadership Group this 2019-2020 season partnered with the Meals on Wheels for Fairfield County and the executive director there, Anna Tobin. And our purpose for the project was to research and compile an argument to support the creation and hiring of a new role for the organization. So Anna approached us that she was interested in bringing on a volunteer engagement manager to manage the volunteers that were growing and continue to grow over at the Meals on Wheels organization for Fairfield County. So our purpose as the group was to collect this research, present the evidence to the Meals on Wheels Board of Directors to get that approved, and then also to provide a hiring and onboarding plan for when they found their perfect fit for this role. So what did we do? So our team worked with Anna to understand, first of all, the current organizational structure for Meals on Wheels. Matt will talk to us a little bit about how we did that and how we went about kind of understanding what they had and what they needed and how to fill the gap in between. We also reached out and did some market research from the Delaware County Association on Aging for proof of concept. So they had a volunteer coordinator role in place for a while now, and it had been going very well. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well later. And then we also looked at kind of that ROI. So what was going to be the return on this investment so that we could craft a good argument for the board to approve the position. So then we also studied those current roles for Meals on Wheels to determine if there was an actual need, and then came up with that plan for when that role would be onboarded. So what we'd like to kind of walk you guys through here today is the board presentation that we as a group prepared. That was kind of the bulk of the project. So we needed to get that approval. The rest of it didn't really matter if we didn't have the board approval. So that's what we focused most of our time on. The board presentation was at the end of February. My health things are different. So just funny to reflect back on what we didn't know what was coming. So I will pass it over here to Rachel. That's going to be talking to you guys about what we did for our board presentation, and we'll take it from there.
Okay, so I'm going to go through just the presentation that we made for the board. Do you want to click? There we go. Our goal. So the goal was to hire a full-time volunteer engagement manager with an annual salary of $35,000. We had to figure out why was this role needed. One of the things that came up was the growth of the aging population in Fairfield County, and there was a lot more need in the county. One of the things that Meals on Wheels needed a lot of help with, or they thought that they might be able to use help with, was brand recognition. So that would be part of what we would achieve by hiring this position. We wanted to make sure that we kept the driving mission of Meals on Wheels in the community so that people knew what Meals on Wheels was about, what they were doing, and some of the other opportunities that they had other than just meal delivery. We wanted to improve the role effectiveness of the current staff. Anna and a lot of the other staff members at Meals on Wheels had a lot of other extra tasks that we were hoping would be consumed by this position to give them a little bit more leeway in doing actually what their job was, and to allow them to flourish in the roles that they had. But the big thing was to create a robust and active community of volunteers. That was the most important thing from what we were learning. So the volunteer engagement manager responsibilities are listed on the side right there. Onboarding new volunteers, working with the director to recruit volunteers, create a marketing plan for volunteer initiatives, because Anna was finding with her role, she was having a hard time working on all these other pieces because she had her role to fill too at the same time. To coordinate volunteer appreciation events quarterly to get more people involved, and to develop quarterly training courses for the volunteers. She also wanted this position to be able to track the volunteers, training compliance, and retain the engaged current volunteers with things like appreciation days, things like that would keep the good volunteers that they had. And then on the right hand side it says where the volunteer engagement manager would fit in under the executive director. That's kind of where we thought he or she would fit with their structure. So who and how? Preferred 2 to 4 year degree in communications or public relations or business administration. Someone that was extroverted and that was willing to go out into the community and find the people that they needed to support Meals on Wheels. A passion for community involvement we thought was a big key point for the person being hired. Someone that was looking for an advancement in opportunities and that had really well written and verbal communication skills, and also a creative thinker, someone that could go out and find the people that they needed. For recruitment, we were going to work on the hiring steps. We were going to post to LinkedIn, other networks in the community, places like the Lancaster Chamber of Commerce, young professionals, and then you. We were asking that to the board members when we presented, like, who do you know in the community that would be a good role or fit into this role well? So I'm going to turn over to Matt to go over the current state.
So this section just breaks down what the current state was at the time when we actually proposed this to the board. The current state of Meals on Wheels, they had a current number of volunteers at 40. You'll see the current number of staff driving completed routes was 15. Estimated number of hours weekly other roles contribute to volunteer efforts, so on and so forth, was 20. There's 11 city routes and they were growing to be covered by volunteers, and more opportunity for volunteer engagement versus volunteer availability. I'm actually going to turn it back over to Brittany so she can step in and talk about return on investment.
Thanks, Matt. So we did quite a bit of information gathering on what the return on this investment would be. So I mentioned at the beginning that we worked with the Delaware County Association on Aging, a woman named Jill Scott over there that had been both the previously the volunteer manager at that location, but then now she's promoted to kind of director of all things Meals on Wheels related. So the key bullets that she kind of advised us to go down was looking at the cost of the staff drivers and what that would look like if we were able to kind of replace them over time with volunteers, should we have somebody in that role that is actually managing them. We also learned from her and throughout talking with Anna that it's significantly less expensive for an organization to just retain the volunteers that they have than it would be to recruit new volunteers, go through the training and all of the things necessary for them to volunteer. So then we also talked with Jill a little bit more about some different grant status opportunities that the organization might qualify for should they have a volunteer manager in place, and someone that would be able to keep up with different degrees of compliance and things like that. So the key for us here was just making sure that we showed the board of directors that, hey, if you earmark this money towards bringing on a volunteer engagement manager, you will see that return on investment with the retention of volunteers and the compliance grants and things like that. So I'll pass it back over to Matt.
Thank you. So my next slide is talking about how this will actually benefit Meals on Wheels. There's many more benefits than what we're covering here, but one of the main benefits that we would see is it relieves stress from the other roles, because at Meals on Wheels, when they have such a small operating budget, the issue is so many tasks and roles were pushed under different people that necessarily didn't have time for it, but they had to. This also gave us the opportunity to implement new ideas, impact recipients, so they could figure out what was going to be best for the people that benefited from Meals on Wheels. Gave them the ability to broaden their outreach, reaching even more seniors who needed their help. And this also helped with the awareness in the local community. This volunteer engagement role would allow us to go ahead and engage the community potentially bring in new volunteers, new donors, etc. So then we moved on to what our next steps were going to be. This is what we discussed with the board at that point in time. We wanted to have this transition created before April 17th. And we will discuss a little bit further here in a few minutes of how that worked out. But our steps at that point in time in February were position description and hiring plan, strategic onboarding plan, strategic marketing plan, and shifting of role responsibilities within current Meals on Wheels organizational chart. As I discussed earlier, there were so many different topics that people were doing and different jobs that people were doing that could get pushed over to this volunteer coordinator that would free up their day and allow them to basically perfect their job at a better rate. So then we regrouped to plan our next steps. Once that was approved by the board, our group got back together from the Fairfield leadership group, and we met with Anna to discuss the board feedback. We leveraged each of our backgrounds to create a hiring and onboarding plan. We wrote a job ad for the position and helped spread the word. We used current resources from Meals on Wheels to develop a high-level training plan for the new hire. That was our goal. And now I'm going to bring Brittany back up to discuss the next steps that we had.
Okay, thanks, Matt. So we were able to find success in bringing on Vivian McCall to the organization. Anna hired her, I think, a couple months back. So we were super proud and excited to be part of that process, and had a great time doing it, I think. Also just wanted to give a shout out to Renee Diamond, who was part of our group and helped prepare the board presentation to get this position approved. So couldn't have done it without Renee. She was not able to continue with the program, but want to make sure that we include her. So appreciate your time, and thank you very much.
Hello, we did the Ohio Glass Museum. So, Ohio Glass Museum is incorporated in 2002 and is a historic downtown landmark in Lancaster. It reflects the history of the glass industry in Ohio, which is over 100 years and is a mainstay of Fairfield County and Lancaster's economy. Due to this area's abundant supply of natural gas and sandstone, there have been numerous glass companies in the area over the years. In 2003, Ohio legislation honored Lancaster as the pressed glass capital of Ohio. When you visit the museum, one can learn about the rich history and see artistic, creative, and practical uses of glass throughout history, as well as modern renderings. The museum has glass blowing demonstrations and hands-on glass blowing classes. The glass blowing studio teamed up with the Visit Fairfield County and Lancaster's Park and Recs Department for the first annual Glass Town Countdown, bringing in 2020 with the ascension of over 500 glass ornaments blown here in Lancaster in the studio, shown on this slide. Ohio Glass Museum has a gift shop featuring the museum's glass blowers art, as well as local guest artists. The Ohio Glass Museum offers rental space for special events and meetings. They also own the building, so now they have rental office space as well. Due to COVID, Ohio Glass was closed from March to late July, but has since reopened. And Robin will now share about our group projects.
Thank you, Alex. In November, we met with Mike Shook and Lou Varga to discuss the needs of the Ohio Glass Museum as they start their 14th year of operation. They shared insight from a strategic planning session that the museum board had completed, and based on their ideas, we focused on 3 top goals for the organization. Number 1, improve fundraising efforts. Number 2, develop a social media plan. Number 3, increase the number of visitors to the museum, glassblowing studio, and gift shop. We created a plan for the first 2 goals that we will be sharing with you today. The third goal should happen organically as a result of the plans that we have developed for improved fundraising and the implementation of a social media plan. This increased traffic will help generate additional revenue for the museum going forward. I'm going to turn it over to Andrea, who will discuss our proposal.
Hi, I'm Andrea with United Way, and so to go along with those goals, we have 3 plans of proposal to help meet those goals. So the first would be to improve fundraising by creating a large-scale fundraiser to be held annually, and this event will be called the Glass Bash. We also would like to enhance the current exhibit openings, which they currently hold twice per year, by generating additional revenue from those events. And then third, we really would like to help them do a better job of promoting the Glass Museum on social media. They currently have a Facebook and an Instagram, but they don't utilize them fully. And we also would recommend that they have a Twitter and possibly a YouTube account. And we also would want to make sure that all of the messaging across those platforms are consistent, and maybe incorporate using Hootsuite or some other type of scheduling software to make sure that it's consistent throughout the month. So now I'm going to pass it over to Mike.
Hello, I'm Mike Wickham from the City of Lancaster Water Department. The Glass Bash, we envision this to become a large-scale fundraising event, along with bringing awareness to the Glass Museum to hopefully increase foot traffic through the door, along with sponsorships and everything else that entails. The admission, we have decided that they'd be sold on table sponsorships by local area businesses, along with individual ticket sales. Events, or the event includes dinner, entertainment, silent auction, raffles, a limited showcase of the existing exhibits that are in the museum, artwork from resident glassblowers, and of course a cash bar to help with revenue during the evening. The planning committee, through the Glass Museum, they will be taxed with getting business sponsorship packages for sponsorships throughout the evening, table sponsorships, event sponsorships, the event program, listing the sponsors, and the agenda for the evening. Advertisement, we can take advantage of the existing mailing and email list that they do have. Capitalize on foot traffic during the Lancaster Festival downtown, and take advantage of these social media posts that will be discussed a little better in just a little bit. The budget, roughly $6,000 that we've proposed. Breaking even is the goal for the first year. In subsequent years, hopefully with the word of mouth and planning a little better, they will end up increasing the revenue off of this. And hopefully with this, it will also increase the foot traffic coming in the door, going to the gift shop, and the events that are planned. The budget, as you can see from this slide, we've broken out some rough numbers when it comes to the Glass Bash. Food, entertainment, staffing, venue location, revenue, miscellaneous, roughly $6,000. And the foreseeable revenue through the sponsorship, the individual ticket sales, the silent auction, we have that coming in roughly $6,000. And I will hand it back over.
Kind of along those same lines as the Glass Bash, we would like to improve their opening nights that they already hold 2 times per year. Currently, they do not charge any ticket prices or really make any money on those events, so we want to make sure that we kind of improve upon those through making it a ticketed event, cutting back on some of the expenses, and making the event more comfortable to the younger generation, possibly by adding music and also alcohol sales. We also suggest that they capitalize on the Lancaster Festival traffic because their fall event usually happens immediately following the festival. Maybe offer pre-sale of entrance tickets during the art walk, increase publications and brochures during the festival, sell advanced raffle tickets for drawings to be held at the event. We also think that they should have their glass globe on display during the festival and other events that are happening in the downtown area. And also their glass blowing classes, we want to have those available during the art walk so people can see how those are performed and have options to sign up for those classes. One of the items that they have as a cost for these events is their cocktail tables. So we looked up prices and recommend that they purchase those tables, possibly applying for a grant to get those tables. So that's not a cost every time. And then those could be an added value when they rent out the space. And then following up with that, we would like to talk about the social media and what our suggestions would be for them to improve upon those. Right now, like we had mentioned previously, they are not very active or engaged in social media. It's not very consistent. It's kind of a post here or a post there. So like we said, they already have a Facebook and a Twitter, but we would like them to add an Instagram or a Pinterest and a YouTube to be able to show videos of what they're doing in the Glass Museum. They could also incorporate some type of scheduling software such as Hootsuite, and we created a sample schedule for them to be able to be consistent, to possibly have the same type of post on Fridays or Mondays or different days of the week, such as like Piece of the Week or Glass Fact Friday. We also know that they don't have a lot of funds to spend, but there's able to boost posts on social media for very limited amounts of money, even $5 or $10. That would be able to reach other people in the area that may not know about them. And finally, we suggest maybe partnering with Visit Fairfield County to hire a blogger to come out and try the museum and to write about it and to get interest in the area. So I'm going to pass it on to Robin.
So in conclusion, the Ohio Glass Museum will capitalize on their existing supporters and engage new supporters through their improved use of social media, the semi-annual opening night exhibit events, and the new annual Glass Bash event. The improved social media plan will help them deliver a consistent message across all platforms, and by following the posting schedule and boosting posts, they will increase their social media presence, which will help attract new visitors and supporters. The museum will see increased profit through improved fundraising efforts, as well as by using social media to promote the glass blowing studio and storefront purchases from the gift shop. We encourage you all to visit the Ohio Glass Museum to explore the new exhibits and shop locally at the gift shop. I can also tell you from personal experience that the glass blowing classes are a lot of fun, and I would definitely recommend signing up if you'd like to try something new. Please don't forget to follow the Ohio Glass Museum on social media to stay informed of upcoming events and classes. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Olivia Burns and I am a marketing specialist at Fairfield Medical Center. My team and I were given the opportunity to work with the United Way Career Closet, which is a not-for-profit resource aimed at supporting and empowering women in the community as they enter or re-enter the workforce by providing clothing free of charge. The Career Closet was established in 2014 and was actually relatively active within the community for several years. Recently, however, the service underwent a location change and some management changes, bringing with it the ideal opportunity to kind of reevaluate and redefine some of their functions of operation. When we spoke with the team leaders, Scott and Desi, they identified and requested assistance on 4 areas of focus, those being operating hours and scheduling, volunteer management and coordination, donation collection and management, and marketing and promotion. In order to meet those needs, our Fairfield Leadership Group created a Career Closet business plan. The intention behind this project was to not only address the concerns that the Career Closet has now, but to act as a living document that can be edited and adjusted into the future, helping smooth the transition in the future, and act as a resource for years to come. And Tammy Wilson is going to tell you more about scheduling and operations.
My name is Tammy Wilson. I'm an executive assistant at South Central Power here in Lancaster. When looking at operating hours and appointment scheduling processes for the Career Closet, our goal included clearly defining the Career Closet's hours of operation in regard to their new location, identifying a scheduling process for the United Way office staff and Career Closet volunteers. The Salvation Army Samaritan Center on Hubert Avenue donated space to the Career Closet. Receiving this space was key to the reopening of the closet, but it also created some challenges. Out of respect for the safety and security of the Salvation Army Samaritan Center, our group determined that the Career Closet will serve customers within the Salvation Army's business hours between the hours of 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. Monday through Friday. Because the Career Closet will continue to operate by appointment only, we felt it was important to identify a standardized process for all parties involved. Previously, the United Way staff would do the appointment scheduling. The Career Closet will continue utilizing their services to assist. Beyond that, we really want to remove the burden of responsibility from the United Way employees. For instance, in the past, if Career Closet volunteers could not meet with the client, the United Way employee would set up the appointment, and they would also meet with the client out at the office, at the Career Closet. By establishing a standard scheduling process, United Way employees and Career Closet volunteers can have clear expectations in terms of appointment management. The following process is our recommendation. United Way employee would take a call from a client. They would complete the appointment request sheet, which would include all the information that the volunteer would need to help the client. Once the call is complete, the employee would let the customer know that a volunteer will be reaching out to them, and the appointment will be scheduled within 2 to 3 days. Once the employee is finished with the call, the employee will reach out to all of the volunteers of the Career Closet via text. We recommend a group chat platform like GroupMe or Slack. Once the message is sent, a United Way employee is done with the call. At this point, a volunteer will claim the appointment and reach out to the client to schedule a time and give them more information about their visit. If the volunteer is not available to accept the appointment, the coordinator will then reach out to the customer, and they will set the appointment and meet with them at the closet. The last setup would be the volunteer would contact the Salvation Army to let them know the date and time of the appointment. With these appointment and scheduling guidelines in place, we really wanted to build on solidifying and outlining volunteer duties and expectations. And now I'd like to introduce Kristen for the next process.
My name is Kristen Glazier, and I am the Vice President at Fairfield Hospice and Palliative Care. And I'm going to speak to you about volunteer coordination and processes. When we were talking initially with Desi, and she explained that the volunteers really are the heart and soul of this operation, and that she felt that having a very small, tight-knit group leads to a more efficient experience. For this reason, we did not address recruitment or retainment of any volunteers. We are going to rely on Desi to use those established volunteers. Instead, we were able to focus on creating a more universal guide that outlines the volunteer processes and procedures as it relates to completing the successful and efficient appointments. We also introduced a new system for safety and the safety needs, which hopefully will meet the safety needs of the Salvation Army Center and the United Way, as well as outline some of the additional volunteer duties that we've identified and we'll talk about later. The long-term goal with this business proposal plan that we've created is so that we can create a volunteer handbook for the future. So when we looked at the volunteer safety issues, we evaluated it from several viewpoints. The safety of the Samaritan Center employees and the patrons that they serve, the United Way staff members to keep them safe, as well as the Career Closet volunteers. And with this in mind, we recommended the following. We recommend introducing and utilizing several volunteer forms, which include the volunteer application, which can be used to keep contact information up to date and also track their availability. An emergency contact form, which can be shared with the Samaritan Center, the United Way, and the volunteer coordinator. And then finally, a confidentiality statement, and that will ensure that the thoughtful discretion and privacy will be offered by the United Way, Fairfield County. We also recommended introducing and supplying volunteer badges, and these badges, along with the advance notice of those scheduled appointments, will allow the Samaritan Center to feel comfortable and secure when they're granting access of the volunteers into their center for those appointments. Lastly, we recommended the continued use of a group chat platform, which Tammy just spoke about. This gives the meeting and the volunteers the opportunity to access their peers. They can alert them to their appointment times. It will keep them safe, give them a peace of mind so that other people will know when they're beginning their appointment and when they're exiting that appointment. Additionally, with the restricted operating hours of the new location, which run between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m., we realized that many of those volunteers would have to donate their time in the middle of their workday, and that would in turn create our need for a more streamlined appointment. So by adjusting the scheduling process and then giving the volunteers really more flexibility to create an appropriate time for them and for those appointments, we also wanted to create just this really nice roadmap to an appropriate and efficient appointment. The outline of the appointment process is included in the business plan that we've provided for the Career Closet, and it includes tips and just really great ideas for them to create a really nice boutique experience for their customers, and it will allow it to stay focused and very efficient. And while completing the customer appointment, which is one of the primary roles of the volunteers, we also recognize that there may be some other responsibilities or duties that the volunteers could help with, those being the donation management of the items, marketing and promotion, distribution, and then also community events and job fairs. These offerings we feel are going to be ideal for those volunteers that can't really donate their time between the 9 to 3 hours, but will still keep them involved in this process. I would like now to introduce Fatima.
My name is Fatima Hundley, and I'm a personal banker at Vinton County National Bank. Another one of the areas Scott and Desi identified as a key focus for this project was the donation process. Previously, community members were just dropping off donations at the United Way. Unpredictably, we didn't know what we were receiving. We didn't know how to distribute those items. While these donations were appreciated, they soon took up an immense amount of space. The Career Closet was between locations and was out of service for a while, so it quickly became overwhelming for the United Way of Fairfield County to store it. As our leadership group worked together to redefine this donation process, we had several goals in mind. We wanted to identify a donation collection method that would replace the drop-at-will strategy. We wanted to eliminate the need for space to store any overflow of donated items. And we wanted to redefine the volunteer role in the donation management. With these things in mind, we identified an opportunity to connect with the community while maintaining a controlled flow of donations. To replace the drop-at-will strategy, we recommended that we To replace the drop-at-will strategy, we recommend identifying local businesses interested in supporting the Career Closet's mission and encourage them to donate. Those interested in participating will be supplied a donation bin and a list of requested items. The reason for that is we were receiving a lot of items that weren't being utilized, so that would hopefully limit the amount that we had to send back out. Businesses will have the option of participating as long-term donors, which the bin will remain there for several months at a time, or short-term donors, where the bin would remain in place for a shorter time, as in like 1 to 2 weeks, to accommodate employee giving campaigns and similar efforts. The Career Closet volunteers will work with these organizations individually to determine appropriate durations and pickup times that would work for them. When it is time to pick up, the volunteers will collect the bins and sort items the day of pickup. So we'll just have it done in one go. Anything that doesn't align with the Career Closet's needs can be immediately donated to Salvation Army. Since we are on their premises, it's convenient to donate back to them. That would eliminate any unnecessary backlog, while items that are suitable can be organized and shelved, leading to a consistently organized shopping area. In the event that the Career Closet has good fortune to be overstocked with clothing and accessories, the program coordinator now has the ability to temporarily halt the collection of the donations. This process, like all others of the Career Closet, will be completely owned by volunteers. I'm going to introduce Olivia again. She's going to take over the marketing and communication.
The final area of focus requested by Scott and Desi was marketing and promotion. Initially, this was the Career Closet's primary request, but my group and I quickly realized that we couldn't create and implement a marketing plan without first addressing the guidelines and processes that we just discussed. Clearly, I think that my leadership team met that challenge head on. The second challenge associated with creating and implementing a marketing plan for the Career Closet was cost. With little to no budget allotted to marketing and promotional efforts, we aimed to create a cost-effective plan that would still garner results. In this case, most simply, the marketing process can be broken down into two categories, which are the creation and the distribution of materials. By partnering with the Chamber of Commerce and Fairfield leadership, the United Way and Career Closet were able to eliminate the cost of content creation completely. My group and I worked together to create several multimedia marketing pieces that focused on broad audience messaging. That means that these same materials can be shared with anybody in our target audience, whether it's referring organizations, donation organizations, or directly to customers without losing any of its messaging value. Some of the materials created include a trifold brochure, various posters and flyers, a press release, and print ads. And to really stretch the value of these materials, they can be printed or shared using the electronic files, which the Career Closet will have access to. In addition, we also created a handful of targeted Facebook ads to reinforce that messaging on social media platforms. In terms of distribution, the goal is to create a cost-effective plan geared primarily towards reaching referring organizations. Because the Career Closet has previously established relationships within the community, this strategic choice will allow for more ready connections and quicker results. It's always easier to keep a loyal customer than to recruit a new one. So to show our appreciation and recognition of that, we also created some thank you cards to really nurture the relationship with referring organizations. Now, to reach these organizations with our created materials, we have two options, those being physical and digital distribution. Digitally, the electronic copy can be emailed at no cost. So to facilitate this process, the group and I started a referral email list. The resource currently consists of 60 names and email addresses of members within various organizations across Fairfield County. The Career Closet will have complete access to this list so that they can add and edit and really increase their reach. We're also encouraging the Career Closet to tap into existing resources, so the Chamber of Commerce newsletter, other community newsletters, email blasts, and to really embrace the power of word of mouth. Desi and Scott both have a ton of connections within the community, and they can really utilize those to kickstart the Career Closet's reopening. When it comes to physical distribution, there is a cost associated with the printing of materials. Fortunately, I spoke with leadership at the hospital, and Fairfield Medical Center is willing to donate some printing services to this cause. So once we get some contact information squared away, I'll be working with Desi to get her started with some materials in hand. And while the budget won't accommodate any direct mail campaigns or billboard campaigns, the power of volunteers really makes everything possible. So Kristen mentioned previously that some additional volunteer duties include marketing, distribution, and representation at community events. So we're really leaning on this group of dedicated individuals to be the boots on the ground presence in the community. And by dropping off materials directly to businesses, they can really get a foot in the door and start making those connections that much quicker. In a pre-COVID world, my team and I would have really loved to shoulder that burden and to start making those connections in the community, but you know how that story goes. But in short, that really summarizes our marketing plan for the Career Closet. Thank you.
In closing, we hope that this project really serves the Career Closet as a resource now and into the future. It truly is an incredible service, And we're grateful, very grateful for the opportunity to assist in making it more accessible to the community. We'd like to thank the United Way, for Desi, and for their hard work and dedication to bring this helping hand to others, especially now when so many people are struggling. And we'd like to thank the Fairfield leadership and the Chamber of Commerce for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you again for joining us, and don't forget to look for our new leaders out in the community.